While you're working on it, I'm just gonna see if I can take attendance. You can go if you want, Ryan. You don't have to stay. You don't get, like, I can't mark you here. You get marked absent, but that's okay. That's fine. If you feel you do better off on your own, go ahead. Okay. Monthly mortgage payment. Probably pretty straightforward for everyone who's been in class since day one, but we have had people just joining us kind of late. So monthly mortgage payment, and this is definitely something that you should have on a study sheet, right? I take the amount of the mortgage, divide by 1,000, times the chart number, which the amortization rate, which is what I gave you, okay? Perfect. Now that's really important. That is what is paid every single month for however long the mortgage is, which we didn't. You didn't need to know necessarily for this question, but it's probably for 20 or 25 years, right? It seems most mortgages take 20 to 25 years to pay off. Anything less than that, the payments would be super high, right? So that's the amount per month. Now let's go to the next one. If her interest rate is 5.5%, calculate the amount of interest she pays in the first month. What formula, this is my mortgage payment formula. What formula do I need for the calculating the first month interest?
Interest equal to principal times rate times time, right?
Yeah, it's just PRT, right? This is the simple interest formula that you learned in the grade 11 course. Simple interest formula, and you can give it a name if you want. It's the simple interest formula. It's used in many financial applications when interest is calculated, and it's for short-term interest, right? This is only for a month. Anything long-term, we use the compound interest formula. Okay, so interest equals, all right, what's the principal in this situation?
The monthly payment?
Nope. Not the down payment. Maybe we should define that. The principal is the amount borrowed. Yeah, it's that whole huge amount, right? 240,000. Now, the interest rate, that's pretty easy. What's 5.5 divided by 100? Yeah, 0.055. And for 1 month, what's the time? How many years is 1 month? The 12th of a year, right? And that goes into my calculator, 1 divided by 12. So, I get the amount of interest is $1,100, right? My whole payment's only $1,500, a little more than $1,500, and the interest is $1,100 of that. Is that surprising? No, not at the beginning. Almost your entire payment is just going to the bank to pay their fee off at the beginning. Slowly over time, it starts to change, and your very last payments at the very end of that 20-25 years, almost all of it will be principal, okay? Because you've paid, the bank gets paid first, put it that way. How do I figure out how much principal is in this payment then? Yeah, it's just the leftover, right, Arlene? There's only two parts to this blended payment, the interest and the principal. So whatever's not the interest is the principal. Okay, so this should be what, 445.60? So this is the whole payment, the whole mortgage payment. This is the amount of interest, and there's only a formula for the amount of interest. There's no formula for principal. It's just found from a simple subtraction. So this is the amount of the principal. And that's where we left off on Monday, and that's what I wanted you to work on yesterday, on those first three questions of assignment 3. And I know some of you are working ahead or working quicker. That's awesome. Keep it up if that's how you like to work, right? But for the main core of this class, we're just going to take it nice and slow because there's lots and lots of work and lots of language, right, that we have to sort through. Any questions on this? This is just an extra little example that you can have in your toolkit. Okay, I'll post this on the blog later. And let's take a look at the first three questions. This is what you were supposed to work. Any major problems with 1 to 2 or 3? No? Okay. Let's finish up the examples then. Now today is going to be, again, we had done 1, 2, and 3 on Monday, and I left number 4. I didn't want the sub to do it because there's a lot. This is, there's pretty dense, right? There's a lot of work to do in this one, and I'm going to take my time explaining it. Your job will be to find the blended payments and the blended parts, the principal and the interest, for at least 2 months. So we've got 2 months indicated here. These rows indicate month 2. You won't be asked anything more like on a test or an assignment for more than 2 months. And on the exam, usually on the exam what you'll find is they'll give you almost all of the numbers in the chart. You just have to fill in a couple of blanks, which is easy, right? Easier than what we'll do today, but then to just fill in 2 or 3 blanks, you kind of have to understand the whole system, right? So let's read through and read exactly what's taking place here on this page. Let's take a look at what happens with the payment in the second month. When you get to the second month, you will owe slightly less, right? Because that mortgage payment, that principal part, has gone to pay off a little bit of your loan. So that's going to change all the numbers for the second month. Because of this, the interest will be slightly lower. Because remember that they calculate interest on what you owe. So every month you're going to owe a little less, your interest will be a little less. That's a good thing, right? Every month the bank gets paid a little less for their interest part. That means you get to keep a little more for your house loan, right? And we keep track of it on a chart like this because this is basically what an Excel spreadsheet looks like. An Excel is a program that's used in lots and lots of financial applications, and that's what the bank would use. If you wanted to see your whole mortgage chart, like 25 years into the future of how it would all pay off, it would be a big spreadsheet, and every month would have its own row. Has anyone done work on Excel in this class, in maybe Lee's class or just outside? Yeah, so you know what a spreadsheet looks like. And this is how they keep track. Each one of the individual boxes is called a cell in Excel. So let's see how we're going to use this chart. Adrian bought a house for $308,000. She made a $50,000 down payment and then borrowed the remainder at 5.25 over 25 years. They did not give us the, oh, they did. They gave us the amortization rate in the question. If they didn't, we could easily look it up. Okay, calculate the payment. All right, that's a repeat of what we just did. So let's I don't have to spend tons of time. I'm just going to record my work. The monthly payment is, all right, how much is the mortgage? I guess I have to calculate that first. The mortgage amount equals 308 take away 50. Everyone's okay with that? All right, because we take off the down payment. And you know, if they don't give you down payment, then they've already calculated the mortgage amount for you. Okay, so she's only going to borrow $258,000 from the bank. All right, so I take that amount over 1,000, and they've given me the amortization rate. Okay, so just like this should be honestly, if you've been in class this whole time, this should be easy for you, right? Easy peasy. And if it's not, then come see me at some point today. We have to clear up whatever is confusing you. Okay, so that's my mortgage payment, my monthly mortgage payment. This is the monthly mortgage payment. Now, unless you go into the bank after 5 years, like when your term is up, and most people do because the interest rates might have adjusted slightly, this is your monthly payment every single month until the mortgage is paid off or until you go into the bank and adjust your mortgage terms. So every cell that says monthly payment, so this is month 1, maybe I'll just record that here, and this row represents month 2. So it's going to be 1537.68 and 1537.68. Okay. Now, calculate the amount of, they're asking you for the amount of interest in month 1. We just did that together, right? It looks slightly different because I'm putting all my work in a cell. I'm going to work down here. We don't have a ton of room to work, but the interest for month 1. Okay, remember for interest we use I equals PRT. Okay, so how much did she borrow from the bank? $258, right? Times the interest rate, 5.25%. And this is why I'm saying I'm trying to streamline our calculations as much as possible. So in the question, I would change my 5.25% to a decimal right away, divide by 100, 0.525. Okay? So I'm going to, yeah.
Why you lose time, why we need to use, why we don't use the principal, the amount she borrowed, 308,000.
No, she only borrowed 258.
That's the down payment, like when you subtract it.
Yep.
It was that one.
This is the down payment, right? This is the price of the house.
Yeah, okay. We have to use that one. Okay, we have the 5.
Okay. This is the price of the house. She saved up this much. She only had to borrow this much. Okay? Interest is based on how much she borrowed, right? This is the amount borrowed. Amount borrowed. I use amount borrowed because that's really the definition of the simple interest formula. In this case, it's the amount of the mortgage because the mortgage is the amount borrowed, right? They mean the same thing, amount of mortgage, amount borrowed. Okay, so I'll leave it in red just so you know where I got it from, 0.525. Okay. All right, and my time frame for a month? 1/12, right? Okay, so here we go. Rounding, oh, I didn't have to round it, rounded nicely for me. I get 1128.75. Yeah? Okay. So where do you think that goes in my cell under interest for 1 month, right? For the first month. So 1128.75. Guess what the next one wants me to find? The principal. Okay, how do I find the principal? Just subtract. So I'm just going to subtract this column. Column 1 minus column 2.
408.93.
And we get principal paid is 408.93. Okay. So now I'm going to keep filling out my first month, but I need some more info in order to figure out what's going on in my second month. So actually what I need is I need to figure out what my unpaid balance is at the beginning and what my equity is. And equity is it's the sum of, the down payment and the principal payments, right? The principals, the principal paid. So all of these are going to keep adding to the equity. The equity is how much ownership you have in your house. I'm going to define that a little bit better later on when we finish this and we can summarize. But I'm going to define, this is another financial word, right? I'll define that a little bit later. All right, how much is her unpaid balance? How much does she owe? This is the amount of these. This is the amount of the mortgage. Okay, so how much did she owe the bank at the very beginning of this contract that she entered in? Yep, 238, or sorry, 258. Agreed? Now, does she have a down payment? Yes, that down payment went to purchase the house. So what she has paid off of the house so far is $50,000. Right? Good. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Equity is how much she's got paid off of the house so far. So every month she's going to pay off a tiny bit more of the house. So this is where the kind of the tricky part comes in. But let's just watch for a moment, okay? Every month the unpaid balance is going to get lower, right? And how much she owes how much she's paid off of the house is going to get higher, okay? So the only column that goes towards reducing these two numbers is principal paid. That's the really important part for the homeowner. This money just goes straight to the bank. It's the bank's fee for doing the business. So this just keeps accruing. The bank, it's just what the bank pays their workers and pays for their accommodations and all that stuff. So what I do, it's the principal portion that's going to, the principal portion goes to reduce this, okay? So it gets subtracted from here and it gets added to here. So add this column, the principal gets added. This column, the principal gets subtracted. So I'm gonna, the cells are big enough, I'm gonna try and show my here. So in this cell, it's 258,000 subtract 408.93. And whatever that is.
257,591.
Okay, it's still going to be a big number, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this number ends up being, we went from owing 258,000 to the bank to only owing 257,591.07. Okay, so you see, she owes, or he owes a little, or it is a she owes a little bit less than the first month. Would you agree? Just slightly less? Okay, so now this cell, we're going to take the same amount, the principal, but we're going to add it to the 50,000 plus 40893. And what do we get here, Darius? Okay. It's very tedious, right? Why it's not done by hand in the real world. It's done by computer program, right? But any mortgage broker or anyone working at the bank has to understand how all these numbers are generated so that they can look and see and kind of spot if there seems to be something a little out of line or if the homeowner has a question. All right, we've got one more row to complete. all of these numbers are going to change, right? The only number that does stay the same is the monthly mortgage payment. That's locked in. But you can see that the amount of interest is going to change a little bit, right? Just a bit. Because if you think about it, now I have to find my interest for month 2. Okay, it's still I equals P T, but in month 2, I don't owe $258,000 anymore, right? I only owe this much. Times, it's still times 0.0525. And it's still only for a month. And this time I get 1126.96. See, the interest is going down slightly. So the bank gets a little less of your money in that second month. Not significantly at this point, but it's slowly it's moving down, right? Principals found the same way. So this gives me 410.72. All right, I'm going to give you a moment. I know it's still really, really new, but I want you to see if you can take this principle and apply the correct math in this call or in this cell and this cell, and see if you can come up with the correct numbers down here. I'm going to give you a minute.
So it goes your monthly payment minus your interest equals your principal paid, right?
Yep, monthly payment minus interest equals principal, always. Yeah.
Okay, and then it goes. What we owe minus the principal payment is your unpaid balance. Yeah, or
So see if you can just follow the steps for the first row, and then I'll complete it in a moment or two. Okay. So, are you ready? You want me just to record my numbers, see if you agree? This is what I got for the amount that she owes now is going to drop from 257 to, well, 257,591. She still owes 257,180.35. Oh, thank you. It's 257, right? Yeah. Thank you. 257.
kind of threw me off for a second. I was like, I
Yeah.
have the wrong answer.
I went dyslexic there. I'm flipping things in my 257. I'll get white out and make that look nicer. 257,180.35. Yes? Okay. Next column. Now, how much of her house has she paid off? Not just 50,408. She's now paid off 50,819.65. Yes, she's got a long way to go, but every month it keeps her, the amount she paid off keeps growing. So that's what the equity is, the amount she's paid off of her house. Now think about it, and there's a little box at the bottom. If you want to see more about declining interest rates, you can go to this website, there's a little video. At the end of her 25 years, so she's going to have 25 years times 20 a year, she's going to have 300 rows. So in 300 months, she'll have paid off the house. What at the very end of her 300th payment, okay, her unpaid balance, think about this, this is the unpaid balance, right? And this is her equity. What are these two numbers going to be at the very end? How much will she owe the bank still at the very end when she makes her last payment? Nothing, right? Now, how much of her house will she have paid off?
All of it.
All of it. What was her house worth? $300,000, right? Because that includes her $50,000 down payment and all those payments. Now, we know she paid way more back to the bank, right? All that extra that she had to pay back is in the interest column, right? That just, the bank gets to keep all that. They've kept all that money for the last 25 years, right? All the interest stuff. So it's just the principal. The principal goes pay at the very end, or the 300th. So this is month 300. She'll have 0 left to pay off, and she'll have paid off the bill on her entire house. Okay? And when you do enter into a mortgage, and Jane, you just did this recently, right? The bank does either send you statements every month, or they're just electronically, right? And you can go in anytime you want, and you can actually see, and you could request, and you can jump ahead and see all the future payments too, right? Because it's a contract between you and them, right? So they have to tell you exactly what you owe and how much interest they charged. All right, she still owes the bank. Well, this is what she still owes the bank, right? $257, $180.35. Now you have that really nice whiteout stuff. Does anyone have that whiteout stuff? Deacon does. I'll make it look pretty. Okay, so that's it. It's nothing new from what we were doing, but it is kind of new because it's 2 months, right? And that new part is taking the principal and applying it in the right spot. So that gives you all the info you need to finish. I'll just make this look prettier in a minute. To finish assignment 3. Any questions? All right, you can get started. Jane and I will be circulating. And remember, I'm going to give you an in-class open book